This video will help you set up a Rotina 38R. Plug in the AC power and turn the power switch to on. In a moment, the centrifuge will let you open it. In a moment, after the boot up, open the centrifuge. Inside you'll find a shipping insert written in 3 languages that give instructions on how to remove the transport bolts. Remove the 4 screws that hold the motor cover upside down on top of the motor. Remove the rubber gasket as well. Remove the 3 transport bolts located here, here, and here. They're large Phillips head screws. When you remove the screws, take care to also remove the spacer with the screw. Do this for all 3 positions. The motor is now free to move about, supported only by its rubber motor mounts. This is the magnetic pickup for the rotor code underneath the rotor. First, install the rubber gasket, making sure that the tachometer sensor cable can go into the slot provided on the gasket. Also be sure to insert the metal of the bowl into the double slot of the gasket. This seal helps to keep the cold air in, as well as prevents condensation buildup during a centrifugation run. Now install the motor cover correctly using the 4 screws that you removed earlier. Use some of the headish grease provided with the centrifuge to put a slight thickness of lubrication on the conical portion of the shaft to prevent metal-to-metal binding between the motor shaft and the rotor. This will help you to be able to remove the rotor at a later time. The rotor has a rotor ring under it, consisting of 6 magnets all the way around. This creates a rotor code that is picked up at this point here by the tachometer sensor. There are also alignment holes that fit the alignment pin on the rotor shaft, the motor shaft. Tighten down snugly with about the firmness of a good handshake. It doesn't have to be extraordinarily tight. Using that same grease, apply a slight lubrication ring around the trunnions where the metal to metal contact is made between the rotor trunnion and the buckets. Information about the bucket is on the bottom side of this particular bucket. We also want to place a little bit of lubrication at the hanging point where the metal of the bucket contacts the metal trunnion of the rotor. To know that you've done a good job, you should be able to pendulum that bucket by pushing it off center a little bit, and it will swing back to position. The idea of the bucket is to be able to swing out fully to 90 degrees in all 4 positions simultaneously, so as not to induce a vibration or an imbalance. Once all 4 buckets are lubricated and hung in there, close the lid, press the start button. The centrifuge should spin up. Recognize that there is a new rotor in place and will spin down automatically. Open the lid, close the lid, press the start button. The centrifuge will spin up to speed that's preset. You can change parameters on the fly. In this case, we're changing the temperature down from 40 degrees to 15 degrees. Confirmed by an OK in the front panel. For the sake of speed, we edited some of this video so that you would get down to temperature still. While on the fly, we can also change the parameters. In this case, it just changed the time to 1 minute, and instead of counting up from 0, it's now counting down from 1 minute. You can also adjust the speed on the fly as well. reducing the speed here to 3,000. Again on the fly. Pressing the start button confirms with an OK in the control panel LCD. Once the time is counted down to 0, the stop light comes on the LED on the stop button, and the centrifuge spins down to 0. You can open the centrifuge now and see that the centrifuge has come to a complete stop. If you've lubricated correctly, you should have a slight amount of spray of excess lubrication along the wall of the centrifuge. This is perfectly normal.